your special officers to conduct a personnel inspection. Chief Lee will now accompany Chief Warrant Officer Stapleton on the personnel inspection.
Station Maui, attention. Station Maui, one step forward. Station Maui, one step forward.
Station Maui, great rest. It's now my distinct honor to introduce Commander of Coast Guard Sector Honolulu, Captain Shannon Gilby.
Station Maui at ease. So aloha and good morning to each of you today. I'd like to say a special mahalo for you joining us today and for honoring us with your presence. Especially would like to thank Mayor Arakawa for honoring us for being here today, sir. Really appreciate your taking the time out of your busy schedule to call this event today. Really appreciate it. Councilwoman Couch, thank you, sir. Captain Paris back there, thank you for being here. Master Chief Winnagel, really appreciate you being here as well. Master Chief German, thank you for being here. Assistant Chief of Police Ramos, thank you, sir, for being here also. And everybody else, and I forgot Commodore Berger, thank you for being here. We really appreciate you being part of our ceremony today. You are part of the greater Ohana here, and you honor us for being here, and you make this a complete ceremony to have our family members here. So thank you for being here with us. I also want to say special aloha to some of Aaron's family. They're going to be joining us via technology a little bit later. So aloha to Desi and Tegan and Finley. Your dad is can't wait to get back and see you, I know, and we'll try to get out here as soon as we can. He's done a great job. And I'd like to say also aloha to Chief Lee's family. Kanoi, it was nice to meet you this morning. Welcome back to Hawaii. I know this is your home, and you're excited to be back, and we're excited to have you there. So to Malia, Emma, and Keahi. Don't want to forget Keahi. We're glad to have you back. We're really looking forward to this tour today. I also want to say thank you to NOAA this morning for allowing us to use their beautiful facility. It's really a great place to have this. And it's a good connection to the water we have in this place here. So thank them for So I want to talk a little bit. Every time I do a change of command, I struggle to try to figure out what exactly is going to be the theme of the change of command. And it kind of follows the same general pattern. You want to recognize the crew for the good things that they've done. You want to recognize the outgoing officer in charge for the great things he's done. And you want to challenge the incoming officer in charge to know what he's got ahead of him and put him in the right stead. So I thought a little bit about that, and I kind of thought about some of the things that have been going on in my own life personally, and decided to come up with a theme that hopefully resonates with you today. And for the last 9 months, I have been coaching 8 and under basketball. Now, those of you who are parents, who've had the privilege of coaching before or watching your sons and daughter participate in athletic events at that young age can recognize the challenge I'm about to describe. Okay? For most of those kids, this is the very first time they played organized basketball. Some of them was the first time they played any organized sport at all. And so we focus on trying to teach them the fundamentals. We start with the very basic skills, and we want to start in a specific order, maybe not the order they want to learn it in, but the order we think they need to learn it in so they become team players. And so we start first with teaching them how to dribble. Okay? That's the very basic skill they got to have to be able to move the ball up and down the court. Those learning teach them how to dribble, then we teach them how to pass, okay? Then we teach them to play defense, then we teach them about rebounding and setting screens. And the last thing we teach them is the thing they want to do the most. It's the last thing we teach them how to shoot. Okay? But that's last on the list. Dribbling is first, passing is second, shooting is last. And we do this in this very specific order because we want to teach them to play together as a team, not as an individual. Okay? Now, I can tell you that Coach K at Duke has nothing to worry about. I'm definitely not going to be taking this place anytime soon, and I'm not going after any of his records. But it is very rewarding to watch the kids develop and begin to learn and transition from individuals into a team. If you think about it, there are 5 boys on the court when they first get started for your team, and there's only one ball, and they all want the ball. Okay, they all want to be the person to dribble, and they all want to be the person to shoot, but there's only one ball. 5 kids. And so the boy who winds up dribbling the ball up the court, well, he's really got 9 kids trying to take the ball away from him. 5 on the other team, and 4 on his own team. And the 4 on his own team are usually screaming at him, yelling at him, I'm open, I'm open, I'm open, pass it to me, I'm open. And they're almost never open when they're hollering that. But that's their vision. That's how they think they're supposed to play. Is they all want the ball, they all want it all the time. They're thinking individually. And it takes a lot of practice. We practice with them. First part of the year, we practice 2 times a week now. Our second season, we're only practicing 1 night a week. But it still takes a lot of practice and games for them to begin to learn, to develop, to trust us, and trust their teammates, and trust each other, and learn what their role is in the team as a whole. And once they begin to learn that, they begin to move without the ball. Okay? So they move to the open area so the teammate can see them now. Not just hollering, I'm open, but they move to where the teammate can see them so the guard can pass it to them, and then they can potentially shoot and score. And they also learn to screen for their teammate. They learn to rebound, and they learn to pass to each other. And that's really the key, because once they learn to pass to each other in the game, it opens up the entire game for them. All the boys begin to shoot and score. They all have a lot more fun, and then they start congratulating each other for the good shot they made or for the assist that they made. That's real teamwork, and that's really the joy of coaching, is when you get them from the individual stage to when they play together as a team. And that's a lot like what an officer in charge at a station has to do. It's a little bit different analogy, but it's very similar. When we have our crew that comes in and reports in, some of them are coming directly from boot camp. Some of them are coming from A school where they've trained for their position for the first time, but the first time they're actually getting to do it. And others are coming with a little bit of experience, but maybe not experience on this particular type of boat that they're operating on. So Chief Marshal Stapleton, in the last 3 years, has taken a group of talented young men and women with various degrees of experience and molded them into qualified crew members, qualified boat crews, qualified duty sections in a unified station. And that's a tremendous amount of hard work and accomplishment to do that. And Mr. Stapleton, I thank you for that effort that you put into it. It's paid off. Because once the individuals begin to learn to trust themselves and trust each other, they really start acting together as a team, and the sky's the limit for them at that particular point in time when we work together as teammates. We've really seen that at Station Maui in the last 3 years, as our boat crews here have now obtained their heavy weather certification. We've been designated as a heavy weather certified station since 2006, but it's taken a long time to get the right people in place with the right assets that we can physically do the required training to get everybody qualified and up to speed in the heavy weather environment that operates here in Maui. And that's critical for our community and our community safety and well-being long term. And so that's a tremendous accomplishment I'm really proud of them. They've also gotten their second response boat medium. So that's the workhorse of our small boat fleet in today's Coast Guard, is that response boat medium. It's a 45-foot long vessel. For those of you who are not part of the Coast Guard family, I apologize. We always talk in acronyms, and we talk about the length of the ships and the boats that we have. It's just a way for us to frame it with each other when we're having discussions. But it's that boat that you see us on the water with almost every day. It's not the little small trailable one. It's the bigger one that you see us operating with. They've also conducted more than 200 search and rescue cases in the last 3 years. And they've rescued or assisted 241 people and saved or assisted more than $3.5 million of property. So those are tremendous accomplishments. They've done it all in a very, very demanding environment where the wind is almost always blowing, the seas are almost always white capping, and The boat crew is staffed at only about half of what a similar size small boat station is staffed on the mainland. Okay, they've done it all tremendously. Those are really impressive facts, I think, and statistics about this particular station. And some station crews and their officers in charge or commanding officers would probably be satisfied there and stop and think, man, I've done it all. These are great stats. We're getting our mission done. Everything's great. You know, they kind of dribbled the ball up the court, they shot and they scored, they're done. But Chief Marshal Stapleton and the Maui crew, they recognize that they're part of a much larger game. And it's played out in the community at large. They were teammates on a much bigger court, partnering with the fire department, ocean safety, the police department, the mayor's office, Hawaii's Department of Land and Natural Resources, and other federal departments like NOAA, and our own marine safety team here in Maui. In the Hawaiian language, that spirit of partnership, that unity of effort, or working together for a common goal has its own name, Wakahi. Aaron and his crew have embraced the idea of Wakahi, working together with their partners to address challenges and make their community here in Maui a safer and better place to live and visit. Let me give you some examples. So each year the state of Hawaii has about 8 million visitors. And of those 8 million visitors, about 2 million of them decide they're going to get into the water and go snorkeling or diving. And most of them do that on a commercial passenger vessel. And the Maui County has the largest number of those snorkelers and divers that are coming to visit us each year here. And they have the probably premier snorkeling destination in the state of Hawaii as well, with Molokini Crater. And since 2012, though, we've seen a dramatic uptick in somewhat of a tragedy in this regard. We've seen an uptick in the number of people that are dying engaged in snorkeling and diving. So prior to 2012, we were losing about 4 people a year statewide off these commercial passenger vessels. And any life lost is a tragedy, but 4 was seemingly to be a pretty consistent average. Some years it'd be a little bit more. Every now and then we'd have a good year where we'd have none, but 4 was a pretty good average overall. But in 2012, that average started to climb dramatically. So in 2012, between 2012 and today, our average has grown to 12 lives lost a year now. And we decided we really need to look at that. And Chief Stapleton has been, or Chief Warrant Officer Stapleton now has been a big part of that. And when we started looking at it and started seeing what those casualties actually involved, what we found out was this, that it's not that the passengers, or excuse me, it's not that the crew members are doing anything unsafe. And it's not that it's gotten any more dangerous. The water hasn't changed. The areas that they're snorkeling hasn't really gotten any more dangerous. What's really happening is that people who are going snorkeling, diving, are getting a lot older. Okay? And they're not in as good a physical condition as they once were. And so what's begun to happen is the trend has been that the people that are dying are generally over the age of 50. They are almost always overweight, and they almost always have very serious pre-existing medical conditions. And so the strain of diving or snorkeling or swimming in the open ocean on them, when they're not really in the kind of physical shape they need to be in, has been too much for some of them, and they've had heart attacks, and then they die. And so this is something that we care a lot about. We care a lot about it as a community. We care a lot about it as the Coast Guard. And so we've worked hard to try to come up with some potential solutions or some potential factors that will help mitigate some of that risk. I don't think we're going to be able to change the passengers. Okay? That's something that we just can't change. And we don't want to change people from coming to Hawaii. We want people to come to this state and enjoy the beauty that's in this island and the beauty that's on Maui and be able to enjoy the snorkeling that you have at Molokini and other places along this beautiful coastline. But if we can, we also want to try to find a way to make it safer for some of those folks so they truly recognize what the risks are. So we've worked on trying to educate passengers as to what the risks are involved in snorkeling in the open ocean and how that might impact their health. We've also worked with the boat crews and owners and operators themselves to come up with some measures they can put in place to try to mitigate some of those risks while the people are in the water. And the final piece of that we worked on together, and we worked on this very heavily with the fire department and ocean safety and local EMS, is what do we do to improve our response when this event happens. So we put all our effort into prevention, but every now and then someone's still going to have a heart attack how do we respond faster